Hello, my vocal virtuosos. Virtual, this funny. Vocal virtuosos. Welcome to Voice Lunch Masterclass. I am your teacher and host and coach, all that balled into one. Irma Joyner. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just grabbing some things here. Please forgive me for being a little late today. I had some technical difficulties I had to figure out in order to make sure that we have a successful session today. So let me just bear with me one moment. So as you've seen, the title of today's session is Stop Reaching for High Notes. Try this instead. So I am, of course, today is Worthy Wednesday, and I thought to myself, I love really teaching a lot and helping singers, so why not implement that again today? It seemed like you guys really liked that last week. I got a lot of feedback from you on a lot of people really enjoying how that session went. So I'm going to go ahead and work with that today. So I definitely would like to make sure that I still point out that, it's important to understand how worthy you are as a singer, because this is a lifetime ordeal. It's not something you just do and put down if it's something that you're wanting to really grow and see a lot of fruit from in the future. You have to continuously work on yourself and understand how worthy you are to be that right person to do so. It's not just only given to just certain people. Anybody has the ability to really work on themselves in any gift. So you have to understand that you are worthy for whatever gift you have. And in our case, it's voice, it's singing, right? So we want to make sure, of course, that we give our all in making sure that we have all of the skills that we need, because it is our duty and our obligation as singers. Hi there. Hi, Weston. Thank you for joining Voice Lunch Masterclass, everybody. It is our duty as singers and our obligation to make sure that we develop this gift that we have. It is not meant to just flaunt around and just be careless with. So this is why I'm here, to help motivate those of you who are interested in developing your voice and sing. This is why we do this on Worthy Wednesday. So understand that you are worthy. God gave you a voice. And please understand, when I say God, I'm very open-minded. So whomever your source of belief is, what works best for you to help you focus and hone on the goals that are intentional and meant for you in your life. That's what I'm talking about. You go for that and you develop yourself and don't let anything stop you. Okay. So I like to talk about breath control. Breath control, breath support is so important for the singer. And this is actually the number one thing and reasons why so many singers back away from singing high notes. They literally have no idea that they're just not breathing right. That's really one of the biggest problems, is breathing incorrectly. And so I'm going to work on that today with you and show you some things that I do that help me and a lot of my students that I currently work with, and even previous students that I've worked with, achieve those goals. So understanding the mechanism, number one, I feel is so important. Here's why. If you understand the mechanism of the breath and how it works, this will be so much easy to remember. If you've ever, I don't know if any of you have ever taken a voice lesson before. Type lesson in the chat if you have ever taken a voice lesson before. But if you have, one of the first things that you do notice is that they start off with breathing, right? But very seldomly will you actually get a voice instructor that will actually give you visuals and show you. And actually, I will make sure that I put a note when I edit this video, which video you can go check in some of my previous videos. I actually am giving you a legit visual of how the diaphragm works, and how it sits. Hi there. Hi, Oscar. And how it sits within, our anatomy, so that we as singers understand what we're working with. One of the worst things you can do is tell a singer how to breathe, and then they have no idea what they're doing to make everything work. So this is what I typically see my students do that come to me when they first start, right? I typically see a lot of this: shoulders raising, tension in the neck, gripping tight, trying to gain some sort of control over their voice by tensing here. Sometimes I'll see it in the jaw, and then also I'll see it in the chest, right? So it's one of those things where when we have to isolate that first and say, hey, these are our biggest problems right now. We got to stop that. No tension in the neck, no raising of the shoulders or the chest. Why? Because that's really not how the lungs operate. Can you imagine breathing and your air goes up instead of going down into your lungs? Like, you'd be in some serious issues, right? You would definitely need to really get some help because your air is not supposed to stay up in your chest. Your air is supposed to go into your lungs. That's how that functions for us, right? So if this is something that, you may have noticed, I would even recommend going into, go look in the mirror when you breathe and see what what's really going on with your breathing. Hold on one second. Oh, Adam Sandler, bless your heart. So what we don't do here is we don't spam. So you're going to be blocked. God bless you. All right. So, yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that here. All right. So, anywho, I probably should go ahead and say this now, because I know that a lot of you guys are, some of you are new to me. I get new visitors every week, which is fine. I love that, because you have to, hold on one second, let me make sure I do that one as well. We don't need you here as well. Cute cat, whatever. Anywho, so what was I saying? Oh, back to the train of thought. So yeah, on my channel, if I catch anybody coming into my channel saying or doing anything outside of the realm of my work, you're going to be blocked and you're going to be removed, and we're going to move on. Okay? Because, we have to move the trolls to get to the goal. So, anywho, back to the breathing concept, because this is what I'm here to talk about for my students. So, what we have going on is, a system where when we are breathing, we have to understand that the lungs will, of course, you're sucking in the air, okay? You're sucking the air into the lungs so that you can then breathe in order to be able to sustain your notes, right? And so once we understand that concept, you have your rib cage that sits outside and around your lungs, and then you inhale that air, right? When you inhale that air, you got to do something with it. One thing I noticed that students will do when we get to the singing part is they will literally quickly release that air. They will release that air so fast, and they won't even give themselves a chance to sing with the music, with the notes. So I would say too, watch out for that when you're singing. So, for example, when I breathe, I'm going to start on C major. I'll do something like on a like that, okay? And when I breathe, what I like to think of first is like an expansion in my back. making sure that I'm focusing on where the air is going. I don't want the air in the front of my body, so to speak. I want my body, my muscles, and my back to respond to the fact that I am inhaling air. This helps me to be able to sustain my breath. So when you are breathing, and I'm, oh my goodness, thank you so much for that great question that you asked. So, OG, so when you are breathing, you have a diaphragm, okay? The diaphragm, when we are inhaling, we naturally, our body will pull down. It's almost like a suction with the lungs. So you have a diaphragm that sits up underneath your lungs and it sits right above your upper intestines, okay? And when you inhale, that diaphragm is pulling downward. And that is what creates a suction motion with the lungs so that you can inhale. That's how you inhale, okay? Thank you for that question. It was a great question. And so when we are breathing, we are utilizing that diaphragm to help us to sustain that air, which actually does help us to fix our tone and a lot of other things too, especially when it comes to endurance when singing. So when we breathe, let's say when I breathe, I'm thinking about wings expanding usually most of the time, or I'll say, breathe down the spine, And what that does is it helps to give this visual, this open idea, concept that your breath is going somewhere to help you sustain what you are about to sing. And in this case, when I do it, if I go, I'm going to breathe in now. On an ah, right? And when I do that, that helps me. That gives me the ability to have of course, as the air is coming out of me, it's giving me the ability to balance my air with my vocal cords so I don't sound breathy. And then I'm singing with a very stable tone versus a breathy tone. So I can go, you can join in with me. I'm going to warm up right now. If you're familiar with the piano, I'm just going up in half steps. B flat major. Where when you're getting past what we call the chest voice and the mix and you're getting into the head voice, we have passages that we have to pass through. And we call it passaggio, but it's basically the passage of your voice where it tends to want to adjust for you in order to get to a higher range or lower range, depending on where you're going in the spectrum of singing, right? And there's where we have to take account of additional things such as tongue position, the root of the tongue, because if you have tension in the root of the tongue, then passage, the changing and merging into that passage will not be easy. That's when you will start straining for high notes, right? You'll be like, oh, wait, I can't really get up there, So you have to know to relax and widen that tongue. That is what allows for us to get up into those higher ranges without feeling strained. And then there's this thing where you have singers who, when they get up into the high range, they have no vibrato. Like they sound like, I'm trying to find a good description. It just sounds very thin and faint. And they can be really good descants depending on the degree in which you need the descant. A descant is usually like that extra third or fifth or whatever you're looking for over the chord that you're hearing. They sing really, really high notes. Those sopranos, descants is what, and I sing descant as well. I can. But it's just one of those things where you have certain sopranos that when they get up there, their voice thins out. That full warmth goes away. It's no more. And so then you have those of us like myself. I'm a spinto soprano. So the higher I get, my voice stays full. It stays up there and it doesn't break, which is a blessing in itself at the same time. And then you have some of us who we can adjust that. Like I've been in certain arenas where if I want to sing with certain, If I want to sing with a lighter soprano, I have the ability to then lighten my voice. And that does take a lot of practice and work. It's definitely a brain thing. It's interesting. I've tried to explain that to so many people, but it is possible. It is possible. But I say this, don't stress about, whether your voice is thin at the top or whether it isn't. Your voice is exactly whatever it's meant to be, and you can develop your voice and make it even better. All right. You're Italian. Well, welcome. Welcome. I thank you so much for coming in. I love Italian, by the way. Right now I'm working on French. I'm doing a review of French. I've taken French, Italian, and German, but I am working on those. French right now. I'm focusing on it. You speak it looks like you speak or write in English very well if you don't speak in English very well. So keep up the good work. Keep it up. Hey, if I can practice as many languages as I have and work on them, you can too. And the best way to do that, as we all know, is to listen to that language in the other language. Listen to that language most of the time. And in this case, if it's English and you're working on English, keep listening to English speakers and listen to how we use our language, and you will pick it up. It definitely will help. I love listening to other cultures speak in their languages because it helps me to understand what they're saying over time. Which is very funny because I've had moments where I'm listening to people speaking their tongue and they're just like, oh my gosh, she understands. And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? No one wants to explain why, though, which is even more hilarious. I'm from the U.S., Florida. Thanks for asking. So back to the lesson. So when we're talking about high notes, this is one of those things where, like, I like to make sure I am relaxed when I sing as much as possible. Because it's one of those things where if you tend to be somebody who has, singer's anxiety or anxiety when it comes to singing, I would recommend things like meditation, taking time to relax or do something fun before actually getting into the act of the performance or the singing, because then you'll be less likely to have tension in the neck or in the throat or in the tongue. I'm also I'm not doing any advertisements for anyone right now, but I'm just looking at a couple of things that I have. And I like to use certain things like oils. So like I have, one of my favorites is Ylang Ylang oil. And it's by, I think it's pronounced Aura Kasia. And it's organic. See that there? I love this oil. It is a great oil to use. It's one of the ones that I use. I use other kinds as well. But I get the organic kind because I want it as natural as possible. So, yep, I do have to spend a little extra for it, but it works. And I've actually tested some that were not organic, and there is a difference. Like, you can definitely tell there's a difference. And then I use jojoba sweet almond oil. I just mix those together. And I've heard that, and I've experienced this too, where if you put like an actual essential oil in your skin, it can break your skin out. You might be a little bit more sensitive. So I would recommend using some kind of base, like an oil, a body oil, and put your essential oil with it. Rub that in and mellow out. And it definitely does help. So it's something that I use. I like it. I recommend it to my students because I know that it's something that I can trust that actually does help me. If you do have skin issues or things that you're not aware of, definitely consult your doctor first before using any type of oil or essential oil. Again, this is not an advertisement for them or me telling you to use it. It's just a recommendation that I use, that I share with my students. So it's something that you can consider if you are interested and you feel that it's best for you. So let me just make sure I'm checking my notes here. I have a lot to talk about. So yeah, getting rid of that tension definitely does help you to be able to ground yourself low, with deep breaths, and release without unnecessary tension. One of the things that I do tend to see students do is they go straight for here for some reason. And I'm grateful that that isn't something I've ever dealt with. I'm just trying to think back because I've been singing for quite a long time, but I guess maybe I have just, it didn't take long for me to snap out of it because I'm sitting here thinking about like the days where I was in high school. And I didn't know much vocal pedagogy, still learning. So maybe I did do it back then, trying to hit those Mariah Carey notes. I don't know. But it's definitely one of those things where, I've developed the keen ability, especially over the years with my coaching that I've obtained through my instructors, to just relax and work that diaphragm. That's another thing too, is when you get full control and understanding of your diaphragm, you don't go for this. And I think I fully believe that that is what that is, because all of our muscles in our bodies are connected one way, to one another through one way or another. And because of that, if you are trying to supplement the use of one muscle to attain strength for another, it's going to cause tension because that other muscle that you're supplementing with was not meant to be used for that outcome. So in this case, when people are using their neck muscles or their throat muscles to tighten, to reach for those higher notes, then you're basically asking for a huge problem vocally, and even possibly physically. I've heard stories where people have actually pulled things and it didn't turn out too well. So just be careful of that. You want to get in your mind that, you do have a whole respiratory system that also includes your diaphragm muscle that helps you to inhale. And when you inhale and that diaphragm moves downward, your intestines, everything that's down below, must move. It must move out the way in order for you to be able to take in that air. And so don't confuse that that motion that you see down the furthest as being your diaphragm. I do see a lot of students that'll say, "Oh, that must be the diaphragm because, that's moving." And it's like, no, if your diaphragm was down there where your abs, your stomach are, you'd be in some serious issue. Like you'd be in a serious problem. You need to go to the doctor. Something's wrong. Your diaphragm's not supposed to be there. Your diaphragm sits right up underneath your lungs, and it sits on top of your upper organs. So that dome, it sits right there. And it does go, there's also a part of it that's right there at the spine, and that muscle twirls down. So anyways, as you are getting used to using that muscle down below, it will make it so that you don't use this area. You then realize, oh, I don't have to tense up right here to make a sound, right? Like you can go, and by the way, use your hand, put it on top of where your diaphragm is. Well, I'd say probably a little lower, right over, just about over your belly button is good usually. Because where your diaphragm is, it might be a little too high. But if I were to start at like C above middle C, C5, right? Hold on, you guys, I'm trying to find a good key. Actually, I'm gonna start at the C sharp right above. Okay, yeah, that works. So if I go without using my diaphragm, this is gonna be interesting. Now that's without my diaphragm. And it's kind of hard for me at this point because it's secondary. I'm so used to using my diaphragm. But let me focus more on my diaphragm this time. So when I do that, of course, I feel like I have a lot more control. I can create a lot more sound with this. Yeah. And I do often hear students who will say, I'm singing, but I'm not getting any sound. Well, that's one way you can do it is activate that diaphragm, make it work, So then when I get up into I'll make it major this time. I had it minor at first. Also, I'm modifying the vowel. I think I have a video on that. I do. I have a video about vowel modification. Go look it up. So thank you very much. What is that? Redmi. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So if you go, I'll start with staccatos. Have you ever heard of staccatos before? So this is like this is what we use to change moods. We have dynamic markings in our music. And so I'm talking about like the short and detached one. If you look at music, you'll see like some little dots that sit over or above the note head. That's a staccato marking. So then if you do something staccato, it would sound like right? That's staccato. But then I'll make it legato, smooth and connected. And that right there also then went from forte or fortissimo to piano or pianissimo, depending on how you measure that, right? And even with that, oh my gosh, so here's the next point I have to make. In order to sing high notes, you need space. You need space back here in the soft palate region. Does anybody know where the soft palate is, by the way? Do you know the difference between soft palate and hard palate in the mouth? If so, comment soft palate in the back, or soft palate in the comments, excuse me. And so I'll tell you. So your soft palate is that area in the back of the throat, in the mouth, where when you yawn, you go, oh, that area back there. That's your soft palate. Then you have the hard palate. The hard palate is the part where your teeth sit around. Up here. That's your hard palate. Right? And when we sing, the sound resonates all throughout, right? Definitely pings where we have a lot of bone. But then you have some of us who, excuse me, you have some of us who are meant to sing higher notes, right? So we really have to open up, you know, in order to get to those spaces up there. That's how that works. We can't get up there with a shut-in soft palate. You have to really open up back there, give it more space, because then now we're not talking about the sounds that would, you know, resonate at these lower levels. We're now talking about head space sounds, pitches, right? Going up into the stratosphere, right? And in order for that to happen, you definitely need a lot of space. You need to make sure also that your air is being controlled. You can't just let it do whatever, right? So, I've had some students in the past who've told me, you know, Miss Irma, I don't have the confidence to really get up there. And honestly, what I come to find out is it's more than just that. They have the confidence because they sing and they get in front of me and they enjoy themselves in performance, right? But what a lot of it has to do with is not having the right tools to hit those high notes. It's one thing when you hear somebody else do something, you know what I mean? Like you hear somebody do something that's amazing, like sing, you know, the C, the high C, right? That's the C6. And you'll hear them sing that and you're just like, well, wow, that's amazing. How did, you know, how I don't know if I could do that, you know. Yes, you can. You just have to practice and understand the tools. You have to get the tools, which I have. I can share with you. I am sharing with you. And you work with those to get where you want to be. And so, like, I remember when I first started singing, I had no idea I was a first soprano. I was always told that I was a mezzo, which is a second soprano, or an alto. And usually they typically tell people that who have heavier voices. Go figure. And I find that hilarious because, in my opinion, some of the best singers are ones that do have heavier voices. And when I say that, I'm saying, like, not that no one else can be the best, because you have some phenomenal sopranos and singers who do not have heavy voices. But what I'm talking about is the number of things that you can actually do with that voice. And a lot of people do not think about it like that. Like, you literally have so many different options that you can do with your voice. And because of the fact that my voice has that heaviness to it, I can sing different voice parts. That's helpful for me, right? Versus someone who can only sing in a specific range. So I always tell singers, you know, don't limit yourself to a specific range. Work on yourself and stretch yourself to be able to learn how to sing other ranges, as long as it does not hurt your voice or enable you from singing. Stop you from singing. because you don't want to damage your voice. If you are a soprano and you don't have that chest voice built, don't force yourself if your body is not meant for that. And if you're an alto and you cannot sing those high notes because you're not built for that, don't stress yourself to get there like that. But I will say this, if you find the right coach who understands how to work with the anatomy of the body, you will be you have a greater chance of being able to sing more than one voice type. But you want to do it with caution because you don't want to tear something. But I find it so cool when you have singers who have such a vast range, because you can get a lot more out of them versus someone who doesn't. But again, this is why I go back to saying, if you are already limited, or you feel like, should I say, because I don't feel like people are limited, but sometimes people feel like they are limited and they don't have that option. But if you feel like you're limited, explore growing your voice. Like, really work on other parts of developing your sound. Don't just stay in that one window, because then you could grow yourself to do more. I've seen that happen for myself and for other singers. And I know it has a lot to do with the knowledge behind understanding the anatomy of the voice, the body, how sound works, how frequency works. If you understand those things, then it would help you, of course, to bolster a better experience as a singer. So let's see here. What did I have next? I thought I had an example. I already showed you that. Okay, that's why. Okay. Well, let's see. Oh, this was the other one. I knew I had this in. Okay. So something I see that sopranos or people who are trying to sing higher notes do, and I typically see men do this, and then I see females do it too, but it's funny because these will be like the men who want to sing tenor. Like, they might be a baritone, having the characteristics of a tenor. But then there are some sopranos that do this too. So what I'll find is students will do this. This will be interesting. Just watch what I do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Did you notice what I just did? Right? I took my neck and I lifted it like I'm reaching, like I'm trying to catch the note. And that is a big, strong, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, please don't do that, because that is not how you get the high note. Raising this does this. Can you hear the difference in my voice when I do this? What's the difference? What does my voice sound like when I do this to my neck? It shuts off the sound. So if you are shutting off the space in the throat by raising your neck, you're obviously not going to sing a high note. You might not be able to sing at all, right? Greater not than would. So what we're doing now is making sure that this is freed up, your throat. You need to make sure your pharynx is freed up, your larynx is open. All of these things need to be accessible for sound to travel. That way, it can just ring. The sound can come out. So when you're singing high notes, I practiced this with myself when I was much younger. But what I started doing was this little thing where I'll put my hand on my head like this. So then when I'm singing, I remember not to lift. I just put my hand here and just sing my song. way I keep it open instead of having a crash and burn accident. At least that's the way I describe it, because it sounds pretty tight. Like it, not in a good way, right? It sounds pretty rough. So you want to make sure that that space is open, is freed up. There's no tension. And when you practice like this, it definitely gives you more confidence, because then you feel your sound coming out like it naturally should. Because then you're not locked up, you're not blocked, you're not having anything to prevent you from singing those notes. Let me see here. All right. Well, I guess I did go through everything. Huh. That was quick. Well, if anybody has any questions, I guess you can ask me right now before I get ready to get offline. I guess I'll go more into the other part of today's session, Worthiness Wednesdays, which is, to never count yourself out of an opportunity to improve. Always work on yourself and your gifts. People tend to retract from their goal because they get distracted. And there are plenty of things out there to distract us. And so we have to stay really focused. I recommend, even making colleagues, friends, associate with people who are focused. They're focused on that goal. Sometimes it doesn't even really have to be the same goal. Sometimes people believe that their goal has to be the same as someone else's that they associate with, and that's not necessarily true. I definitely have a lot of colleagues who have, they have a different practice than what I do professionally. Some of them are doctors, some of them are engineers, some of them, other various forms of scientists, or other singers too. But like, they don't necessarily sing, but we all have a goal that we're very passionate about, and we each respect each other enough to help support each other. And in that, I say that because sometimes you may not find another person whose goal is to be a singer immediately, but it's always great to find someone who is very passionate about what they do, so much so that you would be willing to hold them accountable in what they do, and them you. So I love having colleagues who don't mind, being honest with me and letting me know where I need to go, what I need to fix on. When I was younger and I didn't know better, I would always be comfortable with people who would tell me, oh girl, you sound good, or girl, this, that, and the third, and stuff I wanted to hear to make me feel good, right? But what I later learned was, and it's not, I'm not saying that, hey, you can't be around people who's going to say good things about you. Of course, have people in your circle who are going to say good things about you. But make sure that you also are in a group of people who can do that while being honest with you, to help propel you to where you need to be. Because if you have someone who's in your ear constantly telling you you're good just because they don't want you to get better, then you're in the wrong group. You got a bad partnership going on. And again, that's something that I had to learn when I was much younger. I did not understand that concept because it had never been explained to me that way. But now I know better. I don't like being around, matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't like being around people who are scared to grow. I don't like being close to people who don't want to pursue dreams. If they just want to stay stagnant, I go the other way. That's just me. And it doesn't mean that I'm not willing to help people. Obviously, I'm willing to help people. I'm right here with you, right? So, I mean, no, but what I'm saying is in my profession, in my realm where I am, I love motivation, and I love motivating other people. I love motivating singers. I love motivating anyone who wants to be motivated. But I do also have my checklist where then I help that person then become self-motivating. Because it's, first of all, we're not all going to be here forever, obviously. But the time that we do have together It's important that we teach one another how to be self-sufficient, how to be self-motivating. And one of the kindest things I feel like one of my vocal coaches could have told me was that, she wants me to be self-sufficient. She didn't want me having to always have to ask her for everything, because if something happened to her and she's not here and I'm constantly going to her looking for help and she's not there, I'm screwed, right? Because I wouldn't have understood the concept of self-help, So I really appreciate having that kind of a coach who's just like, look, I love you. You're a wonderful student, but I want you to understand how to figure this stuff out for yourself. And that definitely did bolster me a big, great, like just, yeah, it definitely did a lot for me, and it still is. And so when I teach my students, I like to be upfront to say, look, I will be teaching you these things, but then I'm also going to be giving you tools to be more self-sufficient, to lead you on the path where you need to be so that you will be able to achieve your goals without having to need me all of the time. Because people have to move around, things happen, may not be able to get in contact with me for a little bit, maybe I'm on tour performing and, you can't get me on the phone because you need to know how to fix a vowel in French. I don't know. Whatever it is, I need to make sure that you're self-sufficient enough to be able to carry on. So, seeing your worthiness and understanding your worth, that also requires having a certain level of self-sufficiency where you have the skills to go find what you are looking for. You may not immediately find the solution, but you may be able to find factors that'll help you get to that solution. And that's a sign of high intelligence, in my opinion, because you know that there's something that's going to get you where you need to be, and you know how to find that. Sometimes we may not know how to find those things, and we need to ask for help, and that's good too. That's another sign of intelligence, because if you're not on the right path, you need to get on the right path, right? So, yeah. So make sure that, you understand your self-worth and you give yourself that time to develop and improve, no matter how long it takes you. If singing is a goal of yours and that's something you really, really want to achieve and improve on, don't ever give up on that goal. I mean, it could be anything. If you want to become an engineer, if you want to become a pianist, an accompanist, if you want to be a saxophonist, if you want to play percussion, make sure you don't give up on whatever that goal is, and you seek for whatever tools it takes for you to accomplish that goal. There are certain environments that do enable that behavior where you have to count on someone to be there for you or be by your side to see you through. And that does not necessarily have to always be the case. So that's why I say, put in your pocket, resources where if you ever have questions, put those, and resources could be people too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a book or something online, but it could be people, like people who know how to get to those resources, but have them in your pocket so that, if something comes up, they're going to direct you. They're not going to feed it to you, but they're going to direct you on where you can go to find it and discover it and then work it out. Because how we discover, and this is another thing, another great point, how we develop and understand information is so important. If we allow people to put an impression on us based off of their views of how they see things and force that down our throat, then you're going to always be underdeveloped, because then you would have never taken the raw information yourself to figure it out for yourself, to have the level of understanding that you really need to prosper. And this is one of the reasons why so many people fail or have a hard time, or they run from failure. And I mean, considering what I work in, I'm a singer. I'm a classically trained opera singer, and I'm a coach. So I'm not scared of failure. I have my boundaries, and I let people understand where I come from. But as a singer and being a vocalist, it is important that we don't shy away and that we be vocal and we understand what we are learning and what we're doing and what we are practicing. Um, because if we only take in what we learn and we never work through it on our own for ourselves to see what can become of something, then we'll never obtain the goal. And a lot of people, they wonder, well, why haven't I've been slaving over this and watching and learning from this and that, this, that, and the third, but they never try it for themselves. So then they're only just stuck with that impression that someone else put on them. And so this is why, like in my lives or in my videos, I share with you, I encourage you to go practice what I teach you. Why? Because you need to know how it's going to work for yourself. No two singers are alike. There's no two singers that are alike. You will never find a singer that is identical unless they are clones of one another. And even then, I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line, there are some minuscule differences somewhere. That's just the way the universe is. That's the way it works. Everybody has different fingerprints for a reason, you know? So practice on your voice. Those exercises that I was working on, do, re, mi, fa, sol, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Work on your breath. Take that breath in. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. That's solfege. Work on your voice. Don't just stay stagnant. And then when you move from that key, go up to the next one. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Keep going up. Work on your sound. Don't stay stagnant in anything. Keep it moving. That's how life is. You have to keep things in motion. All right, you guys. So, I had a great time today with you, and thank you so much for visiting with me today. I will be on here next Wednesday. Oh, and by the way, I cannot forget to share this with you. Make sure you check out our community on YouTube, okay? My community, I'm posting about a free 5-day vocal boot camp, okay? And it's free. It's free. You don't have to pay anything but attention. Just come, okay? I want to work with you for 5 days on your voice. And if you go ahead and go to the comments, there's some posts up there, like make sure you post a comment. That way I know you're interested. And if you're interested, I'll send you the link, the free link to where you can go to register for the free class. It's a 5-day workshop where you work with me live, and I get to work with you on your voice and teach you some deep secrets about the voice to help pull the beauty out of your voice in just 5 days, okay? So make sure that you go to that link. I'll make sure I put that link in the description underneath this live as well. But make sure you go to the community, you guys, and check that out, because we are going to start that on the 3rd of April. So make sure you register, okay? We're going to have fun. We're going to, I'm also giving away some things because I want to leave you with something to help keep you focused and motivated, and give you something that you'll learn from, and, you know, show my appreciation for you even being there. So definitely come, okay? And enjoy yourself. Come sing, come learn how to work on your voice. We're going to have a good time. All right, you guys, thank you so much for showing up and showing out as you usually do on our Worthiness Wednesdays here at Voice Launch Masterclass with your host, Irma Joyner. I will talk to you guys next Wednesday. In the meantime, in between time, I will be posting more throughout the week, throughout the day. If you have any questions, reach out to me in the comments and I'll comment back with you. All right. Have a good one. Peace out.